Dear Princess Sunbutt, Letter 53. Gummy, OMG, you will not believe what the Dans just did. Well, it's mostly Danathy, but Dandrew helped. Anyway, they were supposed to be delivering the rest of Tedward to his mother yesterday, right? But instead of slacking off and forgetting, they actually did it. They made the delivery exactly like they were supposed to. They even knocked on Tedmom's door. I'd never been more embarrassed in my entire life, and I wasn't even involved. Poor Tedward. He would have been rolling in his grave if he was dead. On the bright side, at least it's not as bad as the thing Celestia keeps doing. Can you imagine raising the sun on time every single day? It's disgusting. I'm appalled they still let her around Foals. Oh, speaking of Foals, don't forget to miss our pool party last week. It'll just be like laser tag. I promise. Love you dozens. Discord. From Celestia to Discord 53.
Discord, allow me to express my pride in you. Although the missive was not intended for me, I felt the need to congratulate you, as your reformation seems to be paying dividends. You are, finally, more predictable than your associates. After all, even doing the opposite every time is still being consistent. Well done, Celestia.
Letter 53.1.
Whoops, wrong number. Ignore that.
Letter 54.
Dear Princess Cell Saga, today I learned that having a positive self-image does not magically make your clothes fit. For Pony Halloween, I was gonna dress up as Mare-de-Well. You remember her, right? The thing we did that one time with the stuff? Yeah, that. I tried on my old costume, and for some unknown reason, I thought it fit. I guess my excessive purpleness is causing me to lose my vision, because the stitching near the waist was screaming for mercy. Anon kindly pointed this fact out, but I told him that he was just trying to be mean, which is entirely unfair on my part. Anon has only ever been a gentleman. I then tried showing off my muffin top to Spike and Trix Ahoy, and they both told me exactly what I wanted to hear. Again, my purple prevented me from noticing their pained expressions as they lied to my face. Feeling temporarily validated, I tried removing the costume only for it to tear in several places. Now, this isn't your normal fabric, this was made to withstand the rigors of being a superhero. But my lipid layer burst through that shit like the Kool-Aid Man. Needless to say, Anon was right, not that I'll ever admit it. I'll be dressing as something else this year. Your too tight spandex, cellulite sparkle.
From Her Royal Highness Celestia, RE Letter 54.
To my faithful student Twilight Sparkle, happy Nightmare Night, my little pony. I'm sorry to hear about your costume difficulties. I do hope you didn't take the comments regarding weight too seriously. After all, pony bodies do change over time, especially if you have a sedentary lifestyle. I myself had to take up going for a morning canter a few decades back. It's a shame that your friends were either too blunt or too kind to communicate the problem before it became an issue. There is a balance between being tactful and being honest, and I hope this gives you a better idea of where that fulcrum is. Your loving mentor, Princess Celestia. P.S. Anon, I do not think that word means what you think it is.
Letter 55.
Dear Princess Tia Khalifa, today I learned that birthday sex is thankfully not mandatory. That mare and Pony Vegas lied to me. Your silly filly, Teaspoon.
She was worried Spike would try to get freaky with Rarity on his birthday tomorrow. I don't think he even knows what sex is yet. And her name was Mistress Honeysuckle, and she was an absolute angel. She set us up with all the fun girls, and Twi was too busy being a virgin all the time to tell the birthday thing was a joke. Love Anon. From Her Royal Highness Tia Khalifa, RE Letter 55.
To my faithful student Twilight Sparkle. Twilight, you know you can write to me outside of the context of a lesson, right? I always am pleased to hear from you, and you can always ask advice, or to just catch up anytime you'd like. As for birthday sex, well, it's not mandatory, but it is traditional to celebrate birthdays with pleasurable activity, and more than one pony has given the gift of themselves, if you would like. I don't think you would need to worry about, say, perhaps a Spike for several more years, though I also believe that he is due to the talk at some point in the next year or two. If you do not believe that you can handle it, I would be happy to have Spike here and explain the facts of life. Your loving mentor, Princess Celestia. P.S. If birthday sex was mandatory, would that not mean that I was the one to put it into place? Perhaps I should.
Letter 56.
Dear Princess my Corona, today Princess Luna told us all kinds of stories about the world back when it was cool. Why didn't you ever tell me that you had a chariot made from a giant dragon skull? You're reading Rainbow, Twiglet.
Yet another tally in the best princess column. Do you still have that skull chariot, by the way? It sounds badass. Imagine riding up to the Dragon King and the severed head of his ancestor. Talk about a power play. Love Anon. Oh, P.S. Is Luna mad at me? She kept slapping me with her tail and pretending not to hear me when I asked her about it.
From Her Royal Highness Corona, RE Letter 56.
To my faithful student Twilight Sparkle. That would be from a point in my life I'm not especially proud of, and I did eventually entomb the dragon skull after I gained a healthier respect for the lives and deaths of others. Besides, we didn't really have bleach back then, and most spells to prepare bones were unplateable, so it tended to have a rather unpleasant smell. It served the purpose of terrifying a certain few other nations and avoiding conflicts during a tenuous time in history, mind you, and I'm pleased you've managed to coax Luna into telling you some stories of our past. Just make sure she doesn't get into the salt. She's a boisterous drunk. Seriously, property damage has never failed to ensue, and this warning also counts as a transfer of liability if you should be proven to have willfully inebriated her on equestrian soil. Your loving mentor, Princess Celestia. Dear Anon, I debated whether or not to be coquettish about this, but I found out my sister was hurt as a result. I would feel remiss. Ponies have certain aspects of body language which we usually do not vocalize, and most are either familiar enough with ponies or are ponies themselves that receive such gestures. A light brush of the tail to the muzzle or nose tends to denote interest, Anon. I do hope that she finds your obliviousness amusing. Perhaps you should research more on equestrian body language and gestures. There are visitor's guides after all. Your friend, Celestia.
Letter 57.
Dear Princess Alepso, today I learned that thinking before acting is usually a good idea. Trickshot and I were having a picnic near the Everfree because everyone in this town seems to forget about the monsters that keep spawning there. We heard a scream like a banshee come from, surprise, the forest, and any normal person would run away from the obvious danger. But I'm dumb and purple and I wanted to impress my future lesbian horsewife, so I charged in blind. It turned out to be a cockatrice mating ritual that apparently engaged in shouting matches before doing the dirty. They both saw me peeping on their foreplay, so I got rock hard immediately. Thankfully, Trix Angel was able to drag me away to the black magic woman without getting stoned herself. Some voodoo happened and I woke with a renewed sense of self-preservation. Your accidental voyeur, the Grapist.
From Her Royal Highness Ellipso, RE Letter 57.
To my faithful student Twilight Sparkle. Twilight, I am once again pleased that you are well and have recovered from potentially life-threatening injury promptly and without side effect. In the future, kindly remember that the Everfree Forest is considered one of the most dangerous areas within equestrian borders, and among those areas that permit traditional life is ranked at one of the top 10 most dangerous. I applaud you for answering a call to help for fear, and I am truthfully proud of you for doing so. I'm not certain you could have done much differently, save for suggesting you research the forest and common predators within a bit more carefully for future reference, and I would also suggest that you do not enter the Everfree alone. Ever. Your loving mentor, Princess Celestia. P.S. Yes, if you were wondering, there have been efforts to remove the forest after it proved difficult to make it safe, but it takes exception to that. Perhaps we should put up a fence?